So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast for our LUTON match preview. A game I'm really looking forward to, and a game whereby I think everybody is hoping Aston Villa can keep their winning run going and get another away win, because, you know, three away wins in a row is something that doesn't come around too often. The last time we won three away games in a row was when Unai Emery first came into the setup. And we hope to do it again and propel ourselves towards the Champions League places. Paddy, what's the crack?
The crack is good. It feels like about 3 weeks since we did a podcast. It's just one of those busy weeks that it just feels that way. But it just feels like I've been not here for a long time. So
I wouldn't mind, but you were. Yeah.
But yeah, huge game. It's 4 huge games, I suppose, in the next 2 weeks. Obviously, with the trip to Amsterdam, the return leg of that, the Spurs game, and the Luton Town game. And look, we're into the business end of the season now, and we're back to the white football from tomorrow. So it's always a sign that we're getting towards the business end of the season. So I think we'll have a better indication of whether it's going to be squeaky bum time towards the end of the season, or we're going to be in celebration mode for Champions League football if we can get some results in the next 2 weeks and push on for Athens and push on for top 4 or top 5.
Yeah, and look, I think there's a lot of good feeling, I think, around at the moment, and a win against Luton would obviously help that. And then obviously, like, I've seen a lot of people post on Twitter that they've tickets secured for Ajax at home and potentially Ajax away over the coming few days, you know, and there's going to be a lot of good feeling for that. But Luton is the one that we need to figure out first. It's the next piece of the puzzle in securing top table European football for next season. So we got to get there. And I've done a couple of podcasts. I was with Chad from Villa Forever podcast today, Chad Williams. If you haven't checked that out, please do. Great conversation with Chad there. And I was on with We Are Luton Town podcast last night as well on their Twitter X stream or whatever it is, X Spaces. Yeah, I was on with them last night. We had a good chat about what their feeling was with regards to Luton and, you know, where they felt we were coming from as well. And, you know, they were pretty pragmatic about the situation. Albeit that they did say, Paddy, you were gone at this stage because you were listening in. They did say that they felt Michael Oliver was one of the better referees in the Premier League, and I did name check you at that stage, hoping you were still there to put your hand up to come in and speak. But we both agreed, myself and the guys from the We Are Luton Town podcast, we both agreed that David Coote was an absolute abomination. So there is that. There is that mutual synergy between the two podcasts. Anyway, there is that. But Luton, I think, are, you know, they're buoyed by some of the performances they've had recently, and they should be buoyed by those recently, and it's you know, they've had some good performances without getting the results. Obviously, they beat Brighton 4-0, I think it was. Then they had a 4-4 draw with Newcastle, and then they went on a bit of a losing streak. They should have beat United. Sorry, they should have beat United, or at least drawn with United. I thought they were by far the better team that day. And then, you know, they started off the blocks heavy against Liverpool with Benny scoring in the first 10 minutes, I think it was. And then Liverpool came back at them and ended up winning 4-1. So, so some of their performances have been good. And, you know, some of their individual players have been really good this season as well, I think. But, you know, on the whole, their squad, and they admit themselves, their squad is on a quality basis. You know, it is what it is, I think, was the phrase that they used, that the guys used last night. But they're proud of their team, as they should be, and they're still in with a puncher's chance of not getting relegated this season. So Luton will be a wounded beast at the weekend.
And they will be a wounded beast, and they'll be even more wounded by the fact that Everton's points deduction has been reduced this week, so that makes it a little bit harder for them to catch Everton. So it's another one that's pushed a little bit away from them. They have done particularly well since Christmas. The weekend we drew with Sheffield United. They beat Newcastle. And then on St. Stephen's Day, Boxing Day, they went and beat Sheffield United 3-2. And then when we couldn't beat Everton, they went out and beat Everton the following week. They beat Brighton 4-0, as you say. But since then, they've had the 4-4 draw at the beginning of February. And since then, they've been on a losing streak of 4 games. Obviously, one of those is an FA Cup tie against Manchester City as well. And the other ties are Man United, Liverpool, and then a return one of Sheffield United beating them. So they're not on a great run of results. And I promise you, they would scrap all of those good performances for a few results. And you can be sure they'll be trying to scrap out a result this weekend. They're battlers, they're fighters, they're absolutely battling for the jersey. Every person, I watched that Man United game a couple of weeks ago. I watched a little bit of Man City during the week. They'll be hurting, I'd say, because they seem like a really together bunch, and they've got a really, really good manager. Probably doesn't get the respect that he deserves. Ex-Villa man as well. So look, it's not going to be easy. You're right in saying we need to focus on this weekend. This weekend is if we don't win this weekend and we go and beat Spurs, this will be the one that's hurting us. So let's get the result this weekend. Let's get the points on the board, and then look into what's going to be an amazing week between those 2 Thursdays and the Spurs game, and then we look forward to West Ham. It's hard. I know it's hard for everybody. It's really hard for me not to be looking to the next game and the next game after and the next game after. That's just the way things are. I find myself waking up in the middle of the night going, who have we got after we play Spurs, and who have we got after West Ham, and all this kind of stuff going through my head, because it's just so close. It really is so close. But now is the time for no slip-ups. We can't afford to be going into the end of the season in squeaky bum mode. We need to be, if it's going to be 5th, it's going to be 5th. That's fine. We could be the masters of our own destiny going to Athens and getting a result there. But at the moment, we've just got a plan for staying in the top 5 and staying as far ahead as Manchester United as we possibly can. And that will put us in good stead for Champions League football if we get there. If it's not, it's Europa League. And again, it's progress. But we've just got to look at what's ahead of us. And look, we've got some great news this week by seeing Ezri Konsa back on the grass. I think that's fantastic news given the run of games we have ahead. As much as I'm okay with Clement Longley, I think he's been a great replacement and he's done really well when he's in there. We all want to see our Rolls Royce back in there because we all love him and everybody loves him. I've yet to meet anybody that doesn't love Ezri Konsa. So he's back on the grass. Probably too soon for this weekend. The hustle and bustle of a Premier League fixture at Kenilworth Road, a raucous Kenilworth Road, might be a little bit too soon, but great to have him as an able replacement if needs be. We still don't know about Pau Torres. Fingers crossed that wasn't anything too serious, and we'll find out in the presser tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be a highly anticipated press conference tomorrow, I think, for sure, to see what the story is with Pau Torres. But look, it's one of those things whereby it is what it is. Unai Emery has had situations like this. He's always found a way, or in the main, he's found a way, to get results. And I've yet to see anything that makes me think any different, put it that way. Like Callum Chambers, he's been around the club for a while. It's not like he's coming in cold from any situation. He's been training. He's not been injured. He was never banished to the 23s. None of that kind of crack happened with him. He's always been in around the first team. It's not going to be a huge piece, should he have to come in and play for a concerted period of time, or for this game, should I say? So I'm not worried.
Last week we'll stand to him. It will stand to him having that 45 minutes last week and just get him up to speed again. And he's never let us down. He's come into games cold and had the odd mistake in him, but he's a good solid replacement to have in there. Is he of the standard of the other players? Obviously not, or he would be starting and playing regularly. So we've got to hope for the best with Pau Torres, because I would love to see it being Pau Torres and Longley again, if not Konsa and Torres, or if not Konsa and Longley. So we'll see how it goes.
I think as well, and we're getting really into into the team side of things here at the moment. But I think there's more than a confident shout I would have that Luca Dean would start at the left back at the weekend. Not that Alex Moreno has done anything correct or that he's been poor. He certainly hasn't. I just think that now that we've Ramsey back there, the need to have two people bombing up that wing like we did last season may not be there. And I might think that, should we be playing Chambers and Longley in there, that maybe brings in Dina in there. Somebody will stay home a small bit more. And look, I know his positioning, his starting position are very, very high under Steven Gerrard. They were very high, Luca Dean as well. But I think maybe that's what he might do. Bring Luca Dean in there as well to
possibly, yeah,
for want of a better word, compensate, with inside with that backline. But midfield is also a huge point. I think I was listening. What podcast was I listening to recently? It might have been actually 1874. No, it wasn't. I was listening to a podcast recently, and they were talking about Boubacar Kamara and the potential that when you kind of strip it back here, maybe over time we might be like at the moment the way John McGinn is playing in that position, he's really stepped up to the mantle as a captain. He's not playing the game like Boubacar Kamara plays the game. He's playing it the way John McGinn wants to play that position. And I'm really interested to see how that pans out over time. If we start to see this more fluid style of play that we had against Forest, or do we stagnate again? Do teams find us out? Do we get overrun in midfield? I'm really interested to see what happens there, because I'm not saying that we get rid of Kamara or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, but a horses for courses approach of maybe dropping McGinn into that position, or maybe playing him out in the right, or maybe putting him in behind Ollie Watkins. Having him as that joker in the pack that can play in any of those positions is really beneficial. But I was really happy with him at the weekend, and I've been happy with him pretty much since Boubacar Kamara has gone out. Albeit that we haven't been massively tested there yet. What's your view on it?
Oh, I'm absolutely fine with it. Obviously, I would love to have Kamara back at our disposal, but that's not going to be seen for a very long time. But able-bodied replacements are there. So again, we've got strength in numbers for something we could only dream about 2 or 3 years ago. So we're in a really good place. We've got really good replacements. As you say about Luca Dean, I do believe this is a game for him to be back in there, just to nullify that threat of the wing backs that they play. Who plays down that side? Ogbeni, is it?
Yes, Ogbeni does play down that side, which is a concern.
Doughty on the other side.
Yeah. Doughty's. I'll tell you something. Alfie Doughty can cross the ball. He can cross it
he's been solid. Yeah, he's been in my fantasy team, believe it or not, nearly all year. So, I'm a big fan of his, mainly because he only cost 4 million in fantasy league, but that's why he's in my team. But he's been solid. He's been solid throughout the season for sure. And Ogbeni, he's just has that something a little bit different that he can do. End product hasn't been there probably, but it's just a worry about the pace. So I wouldn't fancy us playing a very high Moreno and having to recover somebody to recover and take up Ogbeni, who's an absolute he's a road runner in his own right. So
versions, isn't he?
Yeah. Very similar to Adoma. Is that what you call him? Adama Traore. Names has been one of those weeks. Adama Traore, yeah, very, very, very similar. Probably not as bulky as him, but definitely is as quick and tricky. But the end product just isn't there. But and Ross Barkley as well has also been. He's resurrected, you could say, in that team. So he will want to put one over on us this weekend, I'm sure, as much as he always speaks very well of us when he's asked questions. There's no doubt in my mind he'd love to do
it. Paddy, I'm going to take a little detour here because we've got a beautiful question here from Simon Kenny. Simon Kenny asks, if you had to step in this weekend, what position would you play? Well, I'm in as I'm the dirtiest six you've ever seen. That was my game. I played. So
you're replacing McGinn.
I was no, I'm not replacing McGinn. I'm maybe to kick a fellow up in the air for the last 10 minutes. That's where I come in. But that's where I'd be blame myself if I was player manager.
Well, I suppose my reply to this is I'm too old to step in this weekend. But if I was a bit younger and I could step in this weekend, it would be either left or right back. Usually left back is where I played. But I would probably, if I had to replace myself for somebody, I'd play right back and play in Matty Cash's position.
Yeah. David Style says that you'd be guest referee. Known as guest referee.
Never.
Oh, I would abuse you from high heaven just to give you a taste of your own medicine. Back to the game on this as well is like they might have three really important players back for them: Mary Bell, Jacob Brown, and Elijah Adebayo. Like, if Adebayo really makes them tick, he's been like if they got relegated, I can't see him sticking around at Luton next year. I think he's definitely getting a move back to the Premier League or out foreign. Like he's looked every inch a Premier League player. Jacob Brown's a nice player for them as well. But obviously doesn't have the same massive threat that Adebayo does, but is a threat still. And then Amari Belt come into that back three as well. What's your man's name that came in the last day? Burke. What's his first name? Former West Ham, Reece Burke. Reece Burke is somebody who's come in and out of that side, along with Osho and Mengi. Like they've got players, if they get relegated, will be snapped up by Premier League teams. Like Mengi will be snapped up by a Premier League team. I think Osho will be snapped up by the Premier League team. And Bene might get a, why not go and join Celtic like every other Irish player that needs a break at the moment. Adamida, they're scoring goals for fun. There's some nice players there. Jordan Clark pinged one in the top corner against Man City. Maybe teams take a look at him. Well, you're
doing them a bit of a disservice too, because they're obviously, if they did go down, they'd get the parachute payments and they'd be able to hang on.
That's true, yeah.
So you'd have to think they would keep the body of players together. I would imagine, regardless if they had a complete capitulation, they'll keep their manager. They're set up that if they go down, they could come straight back up, and there's no need. Obviously, if they got a ridiculous offer for somebody, they would accept it.
That's
for
what
sure.
I mean. Yeah,
but there's absolutely no need for them to be selling at the going rate, let's say. But it's
Adebayo. That's right. Like I think a team would drop 20, high teens on Adebayo, if not 20 million on him, because he's shown a good bit about him. Like I know he's not. I can't remember. Yeah, he's 26 years of age. Like I know he wasn't any spring chicken. He kind of reminds me a small bit of Jonathan Kodja, like from the point of view of that age, played well in the Championship, played well and getting his game in the Premier League, and that type of player as well. I do think a team would take a shot at him, trying to sign him afterwards. That's kind of what I meant when I was talking about it. Yeah.
Is he out for the weekend? Any confirmation on that?
Doubtful for the weekend. Doubtful, yeah.
Oh, he's consistent.
He's 9 goals this year.
9 goals in 28 games. It's a good ratio compared. Well, he got 17 a couple of years ago, but he's averaging about 10 a season. So yeah, I didn't realize he was so old. I'd forgotten he's so many years had done at Luton and Walsall before that. So.
He's averaging a goal every 116 minutes, which ain't bad either. Like he's 9 goals. He's only 13 starts as well for them this year. He's played 100. He's played, and this is just in the league. He's played 1,161 minutes and 9 goals. So like when he plays, he's good for goals. So that's why I think that number will, like, I could see him at Bournemouth next year. I could see, if they stay up, I could see him at Wolves next year. The way that they need strikers. But anyway, that's a complete tangent. But I would be happier to wake up on Saturday morning knowing he wouldn't be in the squad. Put it that way.
I think everybody would.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. John Duran made a return, Paddy.
He did. Back on the grass.
Back on the grass. Don't expect to see him in the squad for the weekend, but maybe he's a chaos agent that comes on in at Villa Park against Spurs to see out a game, or to kick Van de Ven or something along those lines. But no, it's good to have him back. Like,
Oh, it's always good to have options, especially coming into the row of games that we're going to have. And should we come out of that Ajax tie, they're going to be coming thick and fast over the next 2 months. So fingers crossed that we can get as many of them back. Pau Torres is obviously the big one. Great to see Ezri Konsa is back. We know that for sure. He's been on there's somebody, I lost the comment asking about Dougie Luiz jumping up on his back. I have a theory that was done on purpose and set up in advance. He didn't even flinch when Dougie jumped on his back. He knew he was coming. And look, that shows there was no concern, and he was strong enough to be carrying someone like that. So he's strong enough to be back on the grass. So I wouldn't be too worried about him. But Pau Torres is going to be vital to us over the coming weeks. So I'm just having sleepless nights worrying about what's going to be said in the presser tomorrow.
Paddy, what was the prognosis in Diego Carlos again when he got injured that time?
A couple of weeks.
Yeah, for 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah, so he's been out only one, but still, 2 weeks now.
2 weeks.
But still, no, my mind is casting towards the thick and fast nature of what's coming. I suppose with as you say, Luton, then Spurs, Ajax, or Ajax, Spurs, Ajax. West Ham, Wolves, City, Brentford, Arsenal, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Brighton, Liverpool, Palace. Options are great to have. And
possibly more European ties in between that.
And as Steve 24/7 says, we do have a 12-day break after the West Ham game, which will help us. So that's probably when you're looking at maybe Diego Carlos coming back at that stage. But you would hope to have Konsa back before that as well.
It's a 12-day break, but it's not a 12-day break because they're going on international duty. So,
well, that's where those players being injured in the build-up to it might be, a silver lining for us that they don't get called up and then they stay with us. Like Diego Carlos won't be called up internationally. Ezri Konsa won't be called up internationally, and maybe Pau Torres comes down with a dose of the scour or something like that and can't get on the plane, and we just keep him around so that he doesn't get injured anywhere else because he's super important to us.
Yeah, well, the one thing, if he does go to Spain, he'll get some sun on his back because he hasn't been getting any game time, so I'm okay with that. It's the other ones, the ones that we wouldn't expect, it being a friendly, to see Ollie Watkins being picked in there, being Ezri Konsa might be picked in there. You just never know.
Mark Wood says we'll all need a 12-day break after West Ham. I think I'll need a 12-day break after getting over for the Bournemouth game. I think I need a 12-day holiday after that. So
Mark Wood is meeting me in London for the West Ham game for my birthday on Paddy's Day. We're only a couple of weeks away now, so I'm looking forward to that. 3 weeks.
I'm just looking at the calendar. I do have 12 days away. Well, I've got 10 days away anyway after the Bournemouth game. I'm just looking at it there. What did I do? Jesus Christ. Do you know what? Subliminal me is better than actual me, because fly out to Birmingham on the 19th of April, and then fly back home on the 21st on the Sunday, and then I'm flying back out somewhere else then on the 22nd. So party on for that week. Paddy, you'll be doing the podcast that week in your own anyway, the 22nd, because I won't be production meeting. Quick. I'll
be looking for substitutes, yeah.
But getting back to the game at the weekend, though, Paddy, like the knock-on factors of this weekend, Spurs obviously having the weekend off, the weekend just gone. They have Crystal Palace under new management. Oliver Glasner of Eintracht Frankfurt fame is now in a Palace. Maybe they get a new manager bounce. Maybe they get a draw at Spurs. We go and beat Luton, Man United, City. We're talking about knock-on effects like we were saying at the start. We don't want to give away those 3 points we gained last week on Man United. We don't want to give those away cheaply again. I'm certain the team will be in the positive mindset or the right mindset to go out here and know that, listen, a workman-like 2-1 win here, there's going to be no extra points given for style. Yes, it'll be great to have two halves like we did in the first half against Forest. That would be absolutely fantastic. It will really set us up well. It'd be great for the confidence going into the Ajax game. But get out of this game, no injuries and a win. That is golden, I think, for this team at the weekend, because of the potential for Crystal Palace to maybe sneak something at Spurs, and anything that happens in that game, provided City beat Man United, that really strengthens our chances of getting top 4. And we won't even have to worry about top 5 then at that stage. Because if we can go 7 points ahead, let's say Spurs draw, we go 7 points ahead of Spurs, playing Spurs next, and we go and we get a draw and they don't take points off us then during that game, that really sets us up, because 7 points ahead of Spurs with 10 games to play, that really solidifies our position, and the fact of what where we would look towards, and how much it would be in our own hands, I suppose. So not only is our game playing out at the weekend, and it will be like this from here to the end of the season, but also there will be other subplots going around with regards to Spurs and Manchester United. And I think this weekend is one whereby, if we do our job, that puts the pressure on them. And we will know the Spurs result before. I think we will, won't we? Yeah, Spurs are playing at 3 o'clock. Yeah. We'll know the Spurs result before we go to play Luton, which will be good, because I think that's a healthy amount of pressure for us to have. But we win, that puts the pressure right back on Spurs, and it certainly puts pressure on Man United against City the day after, so that they don't go 11 points behind.
Look, there's a lot of play. You said that the most important thing is we do our own job. If we keep continuing to do our own job, we'll finish in the top 4. That's the most important thing. Obviously, we're not going to go and win every game for the rest of the season, so we need other snookers to go our way. But I think that if we go and win this weekend and go and beat Spurs, I think it'll be very, very hard for anyone to catch us. And that's ultimately what we need to do in the next week. I think if we can go to Amsterdam and not be out of that tie by the end of it, and then go and beat Spurs, and then go and win the return leg against Ajax, I think we're in a huge position heading into the back end of the season. We don't want to take our eyes off. We want that trophy as well. We've been crying out. We've nearly 30 years without a trophy, if you don't count the playoff final. So we want to be carrying silverware through the streets of Birmingham. If that's the Conference League, so be it. And what better way to celebrate getting Champions League football is carrying that trophy on the open top bus. And we'll all have many days of celebration, because I don't think I'll go to work for a week if we got Champions League football. So let alone what might. Well, at least I know I'm not going to work for a week if we win in Athens, because I'll be in Athens for a week after the game.
There you go. And look, actually, do you know what? You mentioned something there, Paddy, about even if it is the Conference League. And I know you didn't mean anything derogatory by that, but it reminds me of something that I kind of got my goat up during the week, where Pep Guardiola, and look, I know people are pissed off with Klopp, and I know some people don't like Klopp or whatever, but I have to say I'm on Klopp's side with the celebration he's done for the League Cup. I think it was a momentous achievement to get through 45 or 50 odd minutes with those young kids, who some of them can't even drink, and wouldn't even be able to drink in the States. Some of them probably don't even have driving licenses. And, we celebrated Louis Barry putting us 1-0 up against Liverpool and ultimately losing. And the kids, and none of those went on to, very few of those have gone on to make it even in the game so far. So I think Klopp did a super job there. And I think the players did a super job. And I think he should celebrate it. And plus, it's also his last game. It was also his last season, should I say, with the team. But I think Pep Guardiola, when he came out and started saying that nobody cares about the competition, and was trying to put it in Brian Kidd's mouth and Sir Alex's mouth, I think it was incredibly disrespectful to look, there's 19 other teams in the league who, if they won the League Cup, would cherish it at this moment in time. Which just showed a level of arrogance from him. So, you go away, you win a cup, you celebrate it. As you said, it's 30 years since we've won a cup. What we win, we celebrate. And, you have to always remember the good days too. And the good days come with a glint of silver. And, I got a bit pissed off with Pep. And I know he was having a dig at Klopp, but have a dig at Klopp, but don't denigrate a cup just because you're new money and you're 15 years ago, if Man City, in 2009, if Man City had won the League Cup, they would have had 4 weeks of open top bus ceremonies, and the community would have fucking loved it. Yeah. And that's the way football should be, regardless of how important you feel you are within the game, or how successful you feel you've become in a relatively short period of time. And that's my rant over.
I have zero respect for Pep Guardiola as a man because he said some questionable stuff in relation to the charges that are against him, that he's been promised by the owners that none of them are going to stick. Bollocks. Absolute bollocks. And to talk like that after somebody, when the chips are down, pulling all those kids together to get a team onto the pitch to do a job over, and I didn't like what Gary Neville said either about the £1 billion flops. There was no need for it.
I didn't like that either. No,
yeah.
Didn't like that either. Yeah.
So
it was obviously pre-rehearsed after at the time someone handed it to him. Like that's what I felt.
Absolutely, and there was no need for it whatsoever. But regardless of what anybody and look, everybody is different. I said something on the podcast, could be 2 years ago at this stage, that I think Klopp is a great winner, and he's not derogatory towards anybody. When he loses, he has a habit of losing his shit. But I think that sourness that we saw from Pep Guardiola is a measure of the man, and a measure of how deluded the club has become. Because if that's how you think things are, I'm sorry, there's something fucking wrong with football. When you bear in mind that we were struggling to get tickets for the Carabao Cup final 4 years ago, and Manchester City had them on general sale,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, 100%. But and that goes to show, Paddy, the contempt for the competition has been there for a while.
And if I was the owner of Manchester City, I'd be majorly pissed off, because if he's still there next season, which chances are he will be, because there's no sign of those fucking charges coming that he said he's going to walk if they're convicted of. But if he's still there next season and Manchester City draw Liverpool in the Carabao Cup, how the fans turn up knowing that that's how he feels about the Carabao Cup?
That's their problem.
Can you imagine what Chris Heck would think if Unai Emery came out and said that about the Carabao Cup, knowing that we need to put bodies and bums and seats? Sorry, there's something not right there, and I didn't like it, but it annoyed me. And I'm sure you can tell by the way I'm talking about it.
It annoyed me. It annoyed me too. And look, the reason I bring it up is because I'd love to win a Carabao Cup. I'd love to win when you think about it, Carabao Cup is the Conference League of English competitions, But as you said, Paddy, not one of us will sit here and go, oh yeah, no, we just won the Conference League. No way. I'd be thrilled to bits if we win the Conference Leagues, as should everybody. Yeah, look, I know some people at times can talk about needless games and things like that. Football is cyclical, and it's been 30 years since we've lifted silverware. I suppose it's all about outlooks, and if you do go on and win a competition, none of those games were needless games. They weren't. And even if you don't win the competition, there's something to be learned, there's something to be changed, there's something to be garnered from those. And the reason I say that is because I know it sounds very idyllic, but Unai Emery is doing that with every passing game, and it sounds very much like I'm part of the Branch Davidians or something like that with regards to putting him up on this cultish kind of, and I said cultish type of pedestal with Unai Emery. But I think he's at the stage where he deserves it, because he's fought every challenge that's been put his way with this Villa team. Yes, we may have had 2 or 3 game blips, but he's found a way to turn it around. He's found a way to get us back on the horse again. And as I say, until I see something that changes my mind, that's the way I'm going to believe it, because he's very much, if we say it's a results business, there you go. He's getting us the results we need. Carabao or the Conference League and the Premier League will be focuses for Aston Villa, and I think that we will see that over the next few weeks. But it starts with Luton at the weekend, and we need to get those 3 points versus Luton. Everything else is consequential if we don't get those 3 points against Luton, because winning breeds winning, and good feeling. We've seen this team thrives off good feeling.
Yeah.
Actually, Paddy, do you remember? Did you see sorry, I cut across you. Go ahead first, in case I ruin your train of thought, because I'm going over different anyway.
Go for it.
Did anybody else here, and pop it in the comments if you did anybody else see Yannick Bolasie? There was an interview with him on some podcast, and he was asked what was the worst dressing room he was in. He stopped and he goes, can't remember the worst dressing room I was in, but definitely the best dressing room I was ever in was the Aston Villa dressing room. And he started naming Tammy Abraham, Uncle Albert, Tyrone Mings, started naming them all. And he said the banter that we had in the dressing room would come out onto the field. And he said, you just felt like $1 million playing. And I thought that was pretty cool because, you know, while Uncle Albert and Tammy aren't here anymore, you know, you can feel that from the team. And that's where I get from the whole, this team, when they're winning and there's a good feeling around it, they relish that and they like that feeling. And I think a lot of that comes from the likes of McGinn and from the leadership team that we have within the group of players downwards. So keep the winning going against Luton.
Well, I think there's a lot of leaders in our group, and there's a lot of people with important roles to play. I'm surprised at Yannick Bolasie coming out with that, because he always came across as somebody that wasn't happy at the club. So to come out with a statement like that is unbelievable in itself. I might have to go back and have a look.
It just probably goes to, you can be unhappy at not playing, but you can have a happy dressing room. You know, like he obviously respected the people that were there. He said these guys were great crack, you know, and they were getting the results out in the field for that run of games.
But what the likeness to that time when we had that run of the 10-game unbeaten run, I give it a likeness to what we went through at the start of the season, going Thursday, Sunday, and grinding out them results and getting the results in Europe and coming back and getting the results on the Sunday, which was vital. And that same kind of feeling is the feeling I'm getting coming into this weekend. That if we can start off this run with a victory, no matter how it comes, once it comes, if it's a 1-0 97th minute deflected shot, I'm happy with that. I don't care how the result comes this weekend. I don't care if it's not pretty, because winning is a habit. So to go into this very important run of games and just nick 3 points, or even better, go and put on a 5-star performance and bang in a few goals, then even better again. But no matter how it comes, we just need to get 3 points on the board this weekend, just to get the fans on the edge of their seats, get the atmosphere of Villa Park and Amsterdam and London Stadium in 2 weeks' time. All of these things, just to up our game from the bottom to the top, on the pitch, off the pitch, everywhere. It's just going into the most vital part of the season, and if we can all get behind them, fingers crossed.
Absolutely, 100%. I think that's going to do it for the podcast tonight, everybody. Team Sheet Tantrums will be here again on Saturday. We're probably not going to make the post-match for two very different reasons, I think. But there won't be. I think Paddy's going to the pub, and I'm not. Put it that way. So there mightn't be a post-match on Saturday, but we will have one on Sunday. But Team Sheet Tantrum will go ahead as always. So if you're around, join us for that. We'd be delighted to have you. But Aston Villa looking to go to Luton, go to the famous Kenilworth Road Stadium, go in through that house, essentially, go in the door of that house and end up in the football ground, and come away with 3 points at the weekend. And hopefully that is what will happen, and we keep our charge towards Champions League football. But we're going to leave you tonight, everybody, and we will see you on Saturday at 4:20 for Team Sheet Tantrum. But until then, everyone, stay safe, stay healthy, hit the like button, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.